opportunity there for Andrade to go after.
Is.
Oh, body kick!
Shut him
It's
down.
got win! Liver kick, knockout, 1 round! How do you do?
Kick missed, and then came right back in with that leg kick.
Jonathan Haggerty!
Jonathan Haggerty versus Fabricio Andrade under kickboxing rules for their Bantamweight world title. This is an absolute banging fight and I'm really looking forward to it. I reckon Jonathan Haggerty has a few too many weapons for Andrade, but it's going to be interesting to see if the English fighter can fully adapt and get it going underneath the kickboxing rule set. Kickboxing very different to Muay Thai. It's a faster paced without the use of the elbows, the clinch, and just the overall rhythm, kind of due to the scoring criteria where body kicks and knees are scored higher or favoured more than other techniques. It really does change the dynamic of the fight. You'll see a lot of Muay Thai fighters light on the lead leg, bouncing the lead leg. The rhythm can be a little bit more predictable. You know, 1-2, body kick, block the kick, return a kick. It's quite easy to see like a silhouette of a Muay Thai fighter. You know, like just if you had blacked out and just watched their technique, you can identify the sport by the way the fighter stands and the way they move and the flow of their movements. Going over to kickboxing, you're, let's say, stereotypical kickboxer, if we're taking out the above the waist stuff with the trousers, where you had like Benny the Jet, you know, the likes of Raymond Daniels, who did successfully cross over to K1 rules with a more flashy and flamboyant style. When you think of a kickboxer, you're probably thinking of a Dutch style fighter with his planted feet, a tight high guard, banging off punches. I'd say Marek Gregorian is the epitome of a kickboxer in today's day and age, with the likes of Chingis being a little bit of an exception with a smooth, silky style incorporating footwork movement with a Muay Thai base like blocking and checking kicks combined with the boxing. Back to Haggerty and Andrade, you've got an MMA fighter in Andrade meeting a Muay Thai fighter in Haggerty under kickboxing rule set. It's interesting to see how just the rule set itself is going to change the dynamics of the fight. The fact that they'll be in bigger gloves when both have been fighting in 4 rounds for the last however many fights. Andrade does have, not say, well, yeah, it is an advantage. He has more experience in the rule set. He's fought a lot in China. He had a lot of experience in kickboxing. I think he had 20-something fights as a kickboxer before making the full-time crossover to MMA, where I'd say he's found really good form in his last few fights. He beat Lineker to an absolute pulp, and he beat Kwon Won II, Kwon 1-2 with a lovely body kick stoppage. He's looking really good, and I rate that Kwon 1. He's got great boxing for an MMA fighter. He's a good striker. I have a breakdown on his last fight over on the Pro Striking Patreon. So when Haggerty matches up with Andrade, you're looking at a more explosive fighter, I'd say, in Haggerty. He's faster off the mark. He's probably got a few more things in the toolbox. He's got an exceptional high kick. He's got a beautiful teep, and his 1-2 isn't to be overlooked, with him dropping the likes of Takeo Naito. I'm so sorry. Pro Striking is terrible at name pronunciation. And obviously banging out Nong-O, a legend in Nong-O who was himself on terrific form, absolutely trailblazing through the division, and Haggerty comes out and starches him in 1 round. That's something that Haggerty definitely has going for him when it comes to kickboxing rules. He starts fast. That's how he's been exploiting these top Thai fighters in the one Muay Thai format with the smaller gloves. He's able to just come out the blocks far and fast, gets on top of them, and doesn't really get them into a rhythm or a groove where their experience can come into play. When you watch Haggerty's fight with Samay did have a lot of success. I think it was the 4th round in particular. He came on really strong. He was almost drowning Haggerty in the pressure, but Haggerty still came out to drop him in the 5th round and secure himself a decision win. Where we saw Haggerty struggle is against Rodtang. He was able to push him back to the ropes, work him to the body, and just drown him in the inside with that real Muay mat style of pressure, which is something you're going to likely see in kickboxing. I think Haggerty could really struggle with some of the Dutch style fighters in a kickboxing rule set where he can't use his elbows at the middle to split the guard. His roundhouse kicks aren't going to be rewarded under the scoring criteria as much as they would in Muay Thai. And then there's no clinch to tie it up and slow down the action like you'd be able to do in Muay Thai. But that said, Andrade doesn't really present that problem. Andrade kind of is a standoff fighter. He can often be light on his toes. He looks to come in and out of range. He is explosive. He has a very good left roundhouse kick to the body. He has a couple of stoppages with that technique. But that said, I don't think he has the style to exploit the holes in Haggerty's game. I think they kind of match up quite similarly in their approach. They're both like rangy techniques, but Haggerty's a little bit more explosive and smoother. I think he has more weapons in that kind of range. I also think Haggerty's been operating at a higher level. Fair enough, Andrade has fought some really good guys within MMA. I think, you know, John Lineker is a massive puncher. I think he's probably a bigger puncher than Haggerty, especially in the 4-ounce gloves, pound for pound. He's absolutely huge for the weight as well. I don't know how he's passing hydration tests, or they're claiming that he's not cutting weight because he's gigantic. But I just don't think you can compare Lineker's striking to the likes of Nong-O or the danger. I just think when you're operating at that world level, Haggerty's the better striker all around. But I am interested to see if Andrade, with his good form, with the fact that he has some really good wins, like he absolutely pulverised Lineker, if he can get something going, if he can see the holes in Haggerty's game, realise he needs to push him back towards the cage wall of the ropes. I'm not sure what arena the fight's going to be fought in, whether it will be that circular cage or whether it's going to be the ring, which I think the ring is much better for Haggerty because he can use the ropes to bounce off of with his teeth. He can lean back and get out of the way of shot, whereas you can't really do that against the cage wall. The cage wall is essentially death in a kickboxing rule set because you can't rope a dope, you can't lean back to get out of the way of shots. Once you're static against the cage wall, you're going to get hit with combinations. But I don't see Andrade being that type of fighter to really get going with that. He does throw punches in bunches, but I don't think he has the power to really phase Haggerty. I do think that the longer the bout goes on, it does suit Andrade. I think Andrade has a better style over the distance. I think Haggerty can fade a little bit because he is so explosive, but I think he has the ability to catch Andrade coming in early on, especially if Andrade opts to fight in a southpaw stance. He could be open to that right hand of Haggerty. Haggerty has a lightning fast right hand, and even in a big glove, I think he's going to have a lot of sting behind it, and definitely has the ability to knock Andrade down, if not out. You know, just look at that fight with Taiko Naito. Look at how Andrade got knocked out in kickboxing. He stands a little bit tall and upright, which can make him a bit of an easy target, especially with shots down the middle. When Andrade got knocked out, it was against a very good Chinese fighter. You know, the standard of kickboxing is high in China, especially on that Wulin Fong promotion. And the Glory Hero shows, Kunlun as well, they've got some really high level fighters competing over there. The combination that put Andrade down would have took out a Tang. And he was younger, like 5 years ago, so he would have been like 19 or 20. Now he's 25. His physicality is definitely different to what it was then. He's a much stronger athlete. He's definitely grown into his frame, and he's a bit more physically imposing, but he's still not a massive banger. I think punch for punch, Haggerty's going to be a bit sharper. You know, just look at the way he knocked out Nong-O, just dipping his head off a line, throwing that right hand to drop him. I think that's the type of shot that Andrade could be susceptible to in this fight. I'm going to go with Haggerty, but I'm still really, you know, looking forward to it. I think it's a great matchup. I think it's exciting. I think the rule set definitely adds a different dynamic, and both men can meet in the middle with their skill sets. I think it's a fight that should deliver. Let me know who you think is going to win in the comments. You can follow me over on Patreon for extra breakdowns and content over there. You can also inbox me via there. As always, thank you for watching. Pro Striking out. I'll catch you later.